Good morning, guys. Welcome to chemistry. I'm Miss Lackey. I will be returning with you guys after my maternity leave in several weeks. But to give you kind of an overview of the class and how things are going to work, please follow along. You will need to be able to look at your syllabus or be able to pull up Canvas. I'm going to go through how everything's arranged and how things are going to go for you guys. Easiest way to get a hold of me is email me. I'm not checking email every single day as I'm back and forth from the NICU with my newborn, but I will be checking it probably every other day and can get back to you guys. So what you need for class is in the middle. You guys do need some form of binder. I don't care if you share with another class, that's fine. I'm not going to take it up. It's really just somewhere for you to keep all of your materials. Pens or pencils, something to write with. On stuff that you turn in, if you'll use like pencil or blue or black ink, no like crazy colors. Always have extra paper, loose leaf paper. There is some in the classroom if you run out, but always try to have some with you. And you do need access to a calculator for some of our units that have math. We do have calculators in the classroom, but it's always helpful to have it when you're working on homework and things like that, but we will make that work. One thing that was added, because I'm on maternity leave, you guys will have videos to watch. So it is going to be required that you do bring in headphones just as you're watching the videos, because everyone will kind of be watching the video at their own pace, pausing at different locations. That'll kind of help you guys stay on track. So grading. For general chemistry, the tests are 50%, and then the labs, quiz, and assignments are split evenly for the other 50%. For honors chemistry, the tests are 60%, and then the rest is split evenly as well. So notice that like quizzes and assignments go together. So that does include like your homework and stuff. So we will use quizzes as kind of a learning tool. So you'll be able to kind of see what you missed or really assess, do you know how to do this concept? So if you're someone who does not do well on those quizzes, your homework is your buffer. So you want to make sure that you are completing that and doing the practice. And you will have time in class daily to work on homework. All right, general rules. I'm going to flip over to your syllabus. So feel free to follow along with me. This kind of has a little bit everything. And a lot of the stuff is kind of general stuff that you have gone through in other courses. So kind of going through these classroom guidelines and expectations. Students should come to class every day prepared. Chemistry is not the easiest class. It does require work, but that's making sure that you have your Chromebook with you, preferably charged. Do you have headphones? That way you can watch videos. Do you have stuff to take notes with? Do you have your homework that you can complete and practice on? This is an upper level science course, so you've had to take so many sciences before chemistry. You've also had to take so many math courses before you can do chemistry. So kind of understanding that it's not the easiest class, but we will work through it together. Every day have your materials with you. So like I said, I do have calculators for in-class use, but do you have access to something at home? Now you do not need to buy a calculator. You can use an online calculator when you're doing homework practice at home. Your calculator on your phone might have enough functions for you to work through, but utilizing that class time where you have a good calculator is going to be very helpful. You can decide how you like to take notes, but some form of notes is required. So this will be kind of different the first part of the semester while I'm still on maternity leave. But whenever I get back, we will do the kind of in-class lecture and go through problems together? Are you able to copy down problems? If you can't copy down stuff and listen at the same time, maybe you need to print your notes out and then just annotate them. Whatever works best for you. Homework is given on a regular basis. However, we do give time in class to work on homework. The plan is that if you utilize your in-class time wisely, you should not have a lot of work to take home to do. And homework is checked periodically and collected the day of the unit test. Sometimes we will collect them, we'll collect like half in the middle of a unit and then the rest on test day. Majority of the time, homework is due on test day. So you'll get it the first day of the unit, and then each day you'll be told, okay, you know how to do this section or this part of it. And so you can break it up as you go. Late work loses 10 points a day for 4 days. And after those 4 days is not accepted. Your homework is your practice. You're going to come across on quizzes and tests problems that are similar to ones on homework, whatever concept we are practicing, especially if it is math-based. You're going to have those practice questions beforehand on the homework. It does you no good to do the homework after the due date. It's not going to help you for your test. So you really want to stay on top of that and be completing that as we go throughout the unit. In general, no cell phones. They're a huge distraction. You know, people are trying to see what you're doing on your cell phone. When I'm teaching, I can see that you're on your cell phone. So just kind of keep them away, out of the way. Cell phones are also collected during tests and quizzes. Behind my desk is that pocket chart. So anytime we have a test or a quiz, your phones will go in the pocket chart. That way there's no question of if you're on it and things like that. Failure to turn in your phone may result in the loss of credit. So if you try to sneak your phone and then you're caught with your phone, it looks like you're trying to do something that maybe was not intended. So just go ahead and get those put up, and there's kind of no question of it. Students will be given the opportunity to recover from initial failure and improve their grade on assessments. So this we will address after the first test a little bit more. But on test, say that you just had a bad day and you did not do very well on it. There will be an opportunity to remediate and earn some points back on that test or improve that test grade. But we'll address that after the first test is passed. Our class will be performing labs on a weekly basis. You must follow lab safety guidelines at all times, which we'll go over in a moment. Failure to perform labs safely will result in you being asked to sit out of the lab, and you can receive a 0 lab grade. Some of the chemicals that we will deal with in lab can be kind of gross. Some of them are skin irritants. They might be corrosive, things like that. And we really want to make sure that you are being safe with those chemicals and not doing something to endanger yourself or others. So we will go over lab safety guidelines shortly. Tests should be made up within 5 days of an absence, and you'll have to schedule time after school. So while I'm on maternity leave, Miss Kincaid and Miss Manueli are kind of helping me out with this. And then whenever I'm back, there will be certain days that I will stay after school. So you'll kind of have to plan to stay on one of those specific days. If you're absent on test day, homework is due the day that you return. So if you come back in the next day, your homework needs to be turned in that next day. This will just kind of help me keep up to date on grades, especially while I'm gone, because I'm not picking up stuff every single day. So whenever I come to pick up materials, it's helpful if everyone turns them in on time and I can get the grades fully updated. Note for honors, you do have extra content topics that will be kind of sprinkled in throughout the semester. These are things that will prepare you for some of our upper level science courses, things that will cross over into some of the honors and AP level courses as well. So our grading scale is up that we already went over. On the back of our syllabus, you can see kind of our units that we have. We may not get to Unit 11, but we should at least get through Unit 10. So you can see about how many days these will take. I didn't put the actual test dates here yet because some of these may change if we have inclement weather, where we have the ACT coming up at the end of February and beginning of March. Those are things that may change our days a little bit, and we will just kind of have to adjust around those. Feel free to keep this syllabus in your notebook. We are going to be using Canvas a lot. All of our stuff will be housed in Canvas. Whenever we do quizzes and tests, anything that is short answer based will be submitted using a program called Floop. And I will introduce that kind of when we get to one of those. But there is the class iPad. So whenever you have something to submit, you'll simply take a picture using the iPad, upload it to Floop, and it's going to allow me to grade it and mark it to where you can look at what you missed. And that's especially going to be easier for me to grade from home. So let me go back. In general, cheating is my biggest pet peeve of anything. And this includes like copying homework problems and stuff. Like I said, your homework is your practice. If you're copying it from someone else or simply Googling it, that is not helping you learn how to complete the problems. And then you're going to have issues completing those similar problems that show up on tests and quizzes. Now for homework, I will have the answer keys available, so you can always try a problem, check the answer key and see, are you doing this correctly? That way you can learn from any mistakes you're making and improve as you practice and go on. If I'm not there, you can always ask Miss Kincaid or Miss Manueli if you are stuck, but kind of making sure that you can complete the problems on your own. It also goes without saying, you know, homework is one of those little things that people tend to copy just to kind of get it done and out of the way. We also have the quizzes and tests. If you are cheating on a quiz or a test, you can receive a 0 for it completely, and it is a school write-up. So make good choices and do not test that, because that can affect your grade significantly. All right, safety drills. These you will go through a lot. Maybe not first and second period, they tend to be later on in the day. But for safety drills, for fire drills, you're going to go out the classroom, take a left, and take a left at the breezeway in front of the restrooms. Go out that door and follow the sidewalk all the way to the gravel drive. There is a blue flag at the front of the room that has my name on it. Someone will grab that and everyone kind of congregate where the flag is so that we can take attendance and make sure everyone is accounted for. There's an earthquake drill. That's the one where you have to get underneath your desk or lab bench. It's easiest to kind of face the back of the room so that your head is under the tall part of the desk. But it's really just get as much of yourself underneath there, but especially your head needs to be under there. Hold on to the desk in case it is shaking, and it protects you from any falling debris that there may be. For tornado drills, we go out the classroom door and we are going to line up on that wall to the left. Everyone does need to get shoulder to shoulder and try to fit together on that wall if possible, because we do not have a lot of empty space on the science hall during some of these periods. But you're going to face the wall, get on your knees, kind of duck and cover, protect your head and neck area. There are also lockdown drills. So in the event they call a lockdown or a lockdown drill, it may be that there may be a medical emergency in the building and they just want to keep people out of the hallway, or there might be some sort of threat outside the building. There's kind of a various number of reasons that they would call a lockdown. But during a lockdown, no one is allowed outside the classroom, so we have to shut the door. The door does remain locked, but shut the door, make sure that it's locked. We just go about our day working within the classroom, but no one can leave the classroom. So you can't go to another room, you can't go get water or go to the restroom during this time until the lockdown is lifted. There may be an exception if we're going to be in lockdown for a while. A lot of times they will have staff members come around to escort people to the restroom, but you cannot go out by your own. If we go into a blackout, that tends to mean that there is some sort of threat within the building. So we try to make it look like there is no one in the classroom. So that's where we shut off the lights. We all have to congregate in our safe zone. This is going to be that back right corner of the classroom, kind of behind those lab benches on the side of the wall that the door is on. The goal is to make sure that you cannot be seen from the window in the door. So everyone needs to kind of congregate in that corner. And we also have to be silent during this time, because if there is someone in the hallway, we don't want them to know that we are in the classroom. We may also go into an evacuation drill if for some reason we need to leave the building, things like that. So for an evacuation drill, we take the same pathway that we do for a fire drill. So we take a left outside the classroom door, take a left at the breezeways, follow the sidewalk to the gravel drive, and then from the gravel drive, we will go to one of our safe locations. It's either going to be the stadium or the band practice field, are kind of our two designated areas, and they'll tell us which one to go to. Typically, if it's a drill, we would go to the stadium. So once we get to the gravel drive, we'll follow it towards the stadium, and we go in gate 4, which is by the scoreboard. So right after the tennis courts, we will follow that sidewalk, and then we will go around to the visitor side. And yet again, when we get there, we do have to stay together as a class. So we'll find a spot on the bleachers. We'll typically go to the second bleacher entrance on that visitor side and start filling in that area. But we do need to sit together as a class. That way we can get attendance and make sure everyone is accounted for. If you have questions about safety drills, please ask a staff member. We will go through those, but you guys have been through those several times before. All right, lab safety. I'm going to flip over for our lab safety contract. In Canvas, if you scroll down under chemistry resources, if you click on that button, you can find the CCS lab safety contract that is in our modules. So we're going to go over some of these, and you will be reminded of some of these as we do labs. This you are going to sign off on digitally, so you do not have to worry about having a printed copy of this, but I do want to go over these materials with you. So looking at basic lab procedures, and these, you've probably heard of a lot of these before, but like I said, we do deal with chemicals that are a little bit more dangerous or gross than things you may have dealt with in previous science classes. So use lab only when directed by the teacher and only under his or her supervision. Because I also teach AP chemistry, there may be days that you come in and there's lab material out on the table, or there might be a cart with chemicals on it. You should not touch it or deal with it at all until instructed to do so, because it might be something set up for AP that you don't need to be messing with. Or sometimes they have multi-day labs where it has to sit for them to continue working on the next day, and you don't want to mess up their stuff. This is especially going to be enforced during second period when there are people sitting at the lab benches because we do have such a large class. Follow all instructions carefully and ask questions before you proceed. Make sure you read through the instructions. If you're not sure what to do, ask. If you aren't sure what two things you're supposed to mix together, ask before mixing them together. No student may work in the laboratory without a teacher present. If something happens and the teacher gets pulled out into the hall, you kind of have to stop what you're doing for a moment until you can continue. Confine long hair and lace clothing. We will be dealing with the Bunsen burners some throughout the semester, so hair does catch fire quickly. So it may be helpful if you have long hair to kind of keep an extra hair tie. Loose clothing, like if you have something that has very large sleeves, or if you have a big oversized scarf or something like that, you want to make sure to keep it out of the way while we're doing lab. Open-toed shoes should not be worn on scheduled lab days. You want to make sure that if something were to spill, it cannot get down in your shoes. So you don't want like flip-flops, Crocs, things like that that have holes where those chemicals can get in your shoes. So you may just want to pay attention to what days we have lab days. This won't be as big of an issue earlier in the semester whenever it's still cold, but once it gets to be warmer, you want to be kind of conscious of that. Never directly smell substances. Waft the scent toward you when directed. Some things that we deal with do have a distinct odor. If you're trying to detect an odor, you don't want to actually like stick your nose in the beaker. You just want to wave your hand over the beaker to see if there are any vapors coming off of it. Wear personal protective equipment like goggles, gloves, aprons when directed. For us, goggles is going to be the big one. So goggles are located in the goggle cabinet to the front right corner of the classroom. Near my Gryffindor flag. You do want to make sure when we're dealing with chemicals, goggles need to be on your face, covering your eyes. This is to prevent from any spilling, splashing, things like that, because like I said, some chemicals we deal with are skin, eye irritants, or they might be corrosive. Gloves, we don't necessarily wear too often for lab, only if we're dealing with something that might stain yourself. Aprons, you tend to not have to wear. It's more of a personal preference. Like if you're dressed up for a presentation on a lab day and you don't want to get something on you, we may have aprons available for that. Dispose of all chemical waste properly as directed by the teacher. Some stuff that we deal with can go down the sink. Some stuff that's solid will be thrown away, but there's some things that cannot go down the sink. It might pollute the water system, or it's going to be hard to clean out of the water. Those things we may have a collection beaker up on the front table for you to put all of that waste in to be disposed of by an actual disposal company versus it going down the sink. So kind of pay attention to those disposal and cleanup procedures. Place broken glass in all disposables in appropriate designated containers. So if you break glass, we're doing a lab and you accidentally hit the table with the test tube and glass breaks. Don't clean it up yourself. You need to call for the teacher, call for me. We'll go over how to pick it up, make sure that we get all the pieces of glass up to keep it out of, keep someone in another class from stepping on it and things like that. There are glass containers. There's cardboard boxes of glass disposal that are underneath the goggle cabinet on the floor. So broken glass should not go in the regular trash can because we don't want our custodians to accidentally cut themselves on it either. They need to go in those cardboard containers specifically. Check and recheck labels on all chemical bottles before using. So we may have multiple chemicals up at the front. Pay attention to on your lab instructions, what chemical are you looking for? check and make sure that is what you are pouring in your beaker or test tube before you go back to your table to mix them. So really just paying attention to those instructions. Remain at lab stations while performing lab activities. There's some times where there are a lot of people in one class. You know, it's a lot when people are having to come up and get chemicals, but we cannot have people roaming from one lab group to the next. There's just a lot of extra traffic. People can trip, people can spill stuff. It just makes it for an unsafe situation. Report any accident, incident, or unsafe situation to the teacher immediately. If there is a chemical spill, if there's broken glass, anything that could be dangerous, call the teacher over. We're going to be the ones that help clean it up or figure out how it needs to be addressed to make sure that it's a safe situation for all parties involved. Students are never permitted in the science storage room or prep areas unless given specific permission by the teacher. This is the back office. So you shouldn't go in the back office for any reason unless you're having to use the chemical shower or something like that, which we'll talk about in a minute. All right, so locate no proper use of safety equipment. So fire extinguisher is in that front right corner underneath the Gryffindor flag. In the event of a very small fire, we would pull out the fire extinguisher, pull the pin, point and shoot, and then we would pull the alarm afterwards and evacuate. The fire blanket is on that big red box underneath the goggle cabinet. This is in the event that someone is on fire and we have to put them out. The fire blanket is made of a fire retardant material. So we would grab the fire blanket, cover the person with it, gently shove them to the ground and pad the fire out. We don't want to injure them further in that process, but we do need to pad out the fire and kind of starve it from oxygen using that fire blanket. Eye wash station and drench shower are in the same location. So within the classroom, there are two. It's the kind of big green nozzle that's on the left side of my teacher desk, if you're facing my desk. There's also one at the very back sink. It does have a hose and pull out. You can hold your head over the sink, press down the lever and spray water into your eyes at either one. That also acts as a drench shower if you were to spill a lot of chemicals on yourself, especially something like acid that is a skin irritant that you need to rinse off. There's also an eye wash and a drench shower in the office. Inside the office door to the right, there's the big kind of orange shower head. That is the drench shower. There's a lever that you would pull and it would simply rain down on you. There's also an eye wash station there that has two nozzles for both of your eyes. You would simply put your face there, hold your eyes open, and let the water spray into both eyes to rinse them simultaneously. Eye protective goggles, like I said, are in the goggle cabinet to the front right of the classroom. These, whenever you're wearing them, like I said, make sure that they are on your face, covering your eyes. They are adjustable, so if it's too tight, you can loosen the strap. If it's too loose, you can tighten the strap. But you don't want to wear these like on your forehead or around your neck. They're not going to help you out at all. Sand bucket for liquid spills is in the back. We do not really use anything that would need the sand bucket. This is more for if there's a very large spill, just to soak up some of that extra liquid. The emergency phone and number, the classroom phone is on my teacher desk up front. You never want to call 911 directly because then if they show up, they don't know where to go within the school. So you want to get a hold of the office. To get a hold of Ms. Reinbeck, it's 42101. And then they will call 911, get the nurse and anyone back to us. That way, if an ambulance is needed, when they show up, they know where to send them to give the person help. Master gas shutoff. So our room does have gas that hooks up to it. So if you're at the lab benches, you want to make sure that you are not playing with the gas jets. There's the silver jet, and then it has a black valve. The black valve should always be perpendicular to the silver jet. So you want to make sure that they are at a right angle to one another. That has the gas shutoff at the individual table. The master gas shutoff is near the classroom door. To the right of that tall cabinet, there's a big red button that says master gas shutoff. In the event that we hear gas coming out, we want to make sure that button is pushed in. If we're doing lab with Bunsen burners and one of the Bunsen burners is kind of burning out of control or it dumps sideways, something like that, all someone would have to do is hit that button and it shuts off gas to our room and Miss Emanuele's room next door. But like I said, you never want to play with those jets because even if the gas is off, there's still gas in the line. And if you're playing with the gas jets, gas can still come out overall. Safety procedures for the following. A lot of these are going to be to contact the teacher. That's kind of going to be your number one approach for anything. So chemical spills, call the teacher over. Most things you're just going to be able to clean up with paper towels. Use the white paper towels, not the brown ones that the school provides because they don't soak up anything. But most things we're going to be able to soak up with paper towels and then take the Clorox wipes and wipe down the table. If it's a rather large spill, we might have to get the sand bucket or call a custodian to bring us a mop and bucket overall. An eye emergency, if you get something in your eyes, we need to do an eye wash, whether with the green ones or into the office. This is if you get chemicals in your eye, things like that. Hopefully that does not occur because you're wearing goggles properly, but we want to make sure to completely rinse out anything because things could damage your actual eye itself, could cause burns. Some things could cause blindness if they're not taken care of, but we tend to not deal with too many things like that. An electrical emergency, if something is, sparking through the outlet, we will unplug it. Or if it's bad enough, that's a case where we can pull the fire alarm and leave if it's kind of throwing sparks out and things like that. Chemical splash to body, most things you're not going to really be affected by it. If it is something dangerous like an acid or something like that, you may have to remove the clothing that is affected and use the drenched shower to completely rinse it off. In case of a fire, like I said, something small, we can use the fire extinguisher. Other than that, we pull the alarm and leave. Cuts and bleeding, you want to make sure that you're not kind of trailing blood everywhere. So if you're cut or bleeding, go to the nearest sink, hold pressure over it, and hold it over the sink. Call for the teacher. We will need to properly wash our hands to make sure that there's no chemicals in the cut, things like that. And we do have Band-Aids in the classroom. If it's something more serious, we'll have to call the nurse. But we want to try to contain that bleeding and stop it if possible by applying pressure. Other safety concerns. If you wear contact lenses, make sure that your lab group knows this. In the event that you get something in your eyes, you do need to remove your contact lenses to wash out your eyes. Chemicals can get stuck between your contact lens and your eyeball and actually burn your eyeball. Also, those contact lenses are probably not any good anymore if they have chemicals on them. Allergies, this is really just if you have like a latex allergy or if you're allergic to a certain type of chemical. We're not going to deal with like food and things like that, so we don't have to worry about food allergies. If you have like an EpiPen, if you have a bee allergy or something, that may be helpful to know for if we go outside for fire drills, things like that. This, like I said, you're not actually signing and turning in. There is a digital signature, but kind of pay attention to these like student violations. Generally, if you're doing something, you're going to be given a warning, at least one warning. So if your goggles are not covering your eyes, I'll give you a reminder, hey guys, make sure to cover your eyes with your goggles, check your goggle placement, things like that. Those are some of those small first offenses. If you're like going from one lab group to the next, you might just be told, hey, go stick with your lab group and stop wandering around, things like that. In the event that you're not following those prompts and you have to be reminded multiple times, eventually you may be asked to sit out from the lab and receive a 0. Now, if you're like throwing chemicals at your neighbor, I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of warnings. You might be asked to sit out the first time. So a lot of that is more common sense, just kind of staying on task stuff for us. So like I said, you will have a digital sign-off on here, but that was all of our lab safety stuff. So let me go into Canvas real quick. I want to show you kind of how Canvas is set up for our class and how you're going to navigate through it. So all Canvas courses have to have this kind of bio up at the top, a little bit about me and kind of my family. I'm originally from Cabarrus County. I graduated from Northwest in 2006. So I still live in Kannapolis. Most of my family is here. But I live with my husband. We have a newborn son that was born January 5th, who's currently in the NICU, so I'm going back and forth. And then we have our 2 pit bulls, Yoda and Zeta, that hang out with us at the house. There's a link to my email if you need to get a hold of me. But if you scroll down, here's where you're going to find all of your kind of class materials. I do have these buttons down here. They're going to be used to help you go back and forth. But your chemistry resources, this is where you're going to find the copy of our syllabus, the lab contract, things like that. For each unit, there is a button for each unit. And whenever you click on the button, it's going to take you to our unit calendar. And I'm going to add a couple other things here. But like here, you have a copy of the Unit 1 notes. So if you're a person that needs to print out notes, that will be here. Or you can always pull them up as needed. And then our calendar, I have separated out each week by like what day of the week is it, what are we doing during class time, and any assignments or things that you may need to do either during that free time in class or do at home. So notice like today is Tuesday, it's the first day of the semester. Go over the syllabus, class expectations, and lab safety, which we just did. Walk through Canvas setup, which we're doing now. And then we're going to begin our All About Me posters, which is going to be due Thursday. So you can see that there's stuff laid out every single day. And this is kind of going to be your one-stop shop for everything you need. So I have the notes here. I'll put links to assignments here. You have your due dates listed. I'm going to be recording instructional videos for you guys. Those will be linked in this calendar as well. So note, like tomorrow we have notes on density and temperature. There will be a video link here for you to watch those notes themselves. So this is going to be where you're going to go to. A lot of stuff you're also going to be able to access if you go through modules. So this is another way to get there. So notice that chemistry resources tab had our syllabus, our student information sheet or contract. This is what you are going to fill out to digitally sign, and I will link it on that calendar as well. Here's a copy of the lab safety contract. Sorry, there's extra stuff on here. You guys are going to be receiving a copy of the chemistry reference tables that you're able to use on every quiz and test. Here's a digital copy of them if needed. Some resources. So here's Tyler DeWitt has a YouTube channel where he goes through chemical concepts. That is going to be a good resource if you are struggling, especially while I'm gone on maternity leave. Sometimes you just need to hear it or see it explained from someone else. And then here's the HRHS grading philosophy that was posted. And then in Unit 1, you'll have like our calendar that we just looked at. Quizzes or tests will be posted in here. Assignments will be posted in here as well. Some homework will be digital, but a lot of it will be on paper. I have a copy of the notes up here, some extra practice or additional videos that may be needed, and also kind of a test review for whatever unit we're on. So there will at least be a topic list of these are the things that are covered on the test. Sometimes there may be a review or a Kahoot that you can go through on your own. And after the test, whenever it's time to do remediation, that will also be posted in here. So like I said, these will be linked on our calendar, but you can also access them through modules. And you'll kind of play around with Canvas, but like I said, if you use that calendar link that's on our homepage, that will be kind of your one-stop shop for everything. So the last thing to go through today is to begin All About Me posters. This is going to help me start learning who you guys are, especially with me not being there, but also help you guys kind of learn who each other are. So I'll kind of give you instructions. I'll actually show you mine that is posted. So the All About Me digital poster, and sorry, I need to zoom in if possible. There we go. This is really just going to be like a one-page collage about yourself. So you're going to create a collage that illustrates who you are as a person and student. Note that all items need to be school appropriate. Final product, if you change the dimensions of the page to be 9 by 12, it tends to be a little bit clearer and you can kind of see more of your pictures. You can lay it out in portrait or landscape, whatever you're more comfortable with. I would suggest if you're using like Google Slides, there's instructions here for how to change the dimensions. You need to include on your collage a minimum of 14 items, and there's a list of items down below. You can include more, but a minimum of 14 is needed. You can use pictures, icons, colors, fonts, or whatever to make your poster unique. When you're finished, you need to export it as a PDF or a JPEG. And that is going to be uploaded into a discussion post where we can kind of see each other's overall. So submit your completed into the Canvas assignment, which is going to be the discussion post. You're going to upload it to the discussion post for your classmates to see, and you'll be able to go through and comment on each other's overall. So from the following categories, you need a minimum of 14. These two that are in bold, you have to have on yours. So you have to have your name on there somewhere. And this is a great place if you go by something else other than what is in PowerSchool. This is a good place to put that. And a recent clear photo of you. This will especially help me put faces to names, especially with me not being there the first several weeks of the semester. Other things that you can include are any hobbies you may have, your birthday, your family, places you've lived, any pets you have, your favorite trip, a memorable moment, a major accomplishment, someone you admire, your favorite quote, favorite fictional character, favorite sport or sports team, favorite books, favorite movies, favorite TV shows, favorite music or musician, favorite food, favorite color, favorite school subject. And like I said, you can have this typed out, you can have pictures, but you do kind of want to have fun with it and make it unique. So whenever you have built this on your own, you are going to, oops, oh, I'll have to change the date, but this will be uploaded. I'll have to change the instructions. Sorry, I copied over an old one. But you will be asked to post your All About Me digital poster. All right, so here our discussion post is fixed. You're going to end up uploading the JPEG or PDF of your All About Me poster. And then once they are uploaded Thursday by everyone, you're going to go through and comment on 7 other people. So it might be something new you learn about that person, a hobby that you enjoy, something that surprised you. Maybe you guys like similar books, things like that. So I attached my All About Me poster so you can kind of see what it looks like. And like I said, you can have it in a collage. You can add different parts in there. I have more than 14, but you just have to have that minimum of 14. So remember, you have to have your name on there somewhere and a recent photo of yourself. I also included my family. So here's me and my husband, Charlie. I'll have to make an updated one with a picture of our son, Calvin, as well. Our pets. So here's our 2 pit bulls, Yoda and Zeta. This was our cat, Crookshanks, that's no longer with us. Favorite food, I love Sundrop and popcorn. Those are my 2 favorites. Favorite quote is one from Twelfth Night of William Shakespeare. Favorite subjects, I have chemistry and forensics are the 2 that I teach. Favorite fictional character, I love Hermione Granger. I love Harry Potter, so you'll learn that about me. Hobbies, I am a little crafty, so I do sew. I also crochet and knit. So kind of making other things on our own. Favorite books, I love Harry Potter, obviously. There's also the Bloodline series. That's one of my favorites. Places I've lived in North Carolina my whole life. Like I said, I'm originally from Cabarrus County and still live there today. This is a picture of the alumni tower at Western Carolina University. I was the first person in my family to go to college and graduate. But that was a big accomplishment for me and kind of set me on path for my goals I wanted to accomplish. Favorite TV show, it's a classic, Friends. I could watch it at any point in time. And favorite trip, this is a picture from our honeymoon in Jamaica that we took. That's the only time I've been out of the country, so that was kind of a memorable one for me. So you see, it doesn't have to take a long time to do. Also, my favorite color is blue, so I made the background blue. That was something simple that you can do to tick off one of those 14. But you can kind of have fun with it, insert pictures. Like I said, do make sure that they are school appropriate. But you will simply come down here and reply to mine, upload that JPEG or PDF, and then after Thursday, when everyone has submitted theirs, go through, check them out. You can kind of learn who each other is if you don't know that already, and comment on 7 others. So this will be one of your first grades, should be a pretty easy one, but utilize your time in class to do that. I'm going to go back to our calendar. Sorry, my internet is being a little slow. There we go. All right, so that's kind of what we had for today. There will be a link here for you to fill out your kind of contact information, emails, phone numbers, all of that stuff. That will also include that digital signature for the lab contract. That needs to be filled out tonight. And then you can also take time to work on your All About Me poster. So you have the rest of the period to start working on your posters. Like I said, when you are done with them, you will be able to submit them in our discussion post. Feel free to go ahead and look ahead. If you need to print notes for days that we have notes, I would go ahead and do that tonight as well. But looking ahead, you can see that we are going to start with some of our homework tomorrow. We are going to start with math tomorrow. There's a quick pre-assessment. This will have stuff like scientific notation, metric conversions, things that you should have learned in previous science courses, just to see if we need to take some time to go over them, or just for you to see how comfortable you are with those concepts. But we will actually start out on notes. You can also look ahead and see we will have a math quiz on Friday. We will have a quiz or practice quiz next Thursday, and our first test is going to be next Friday. So you can kind of look ahead at some of those dates as well. And these may be subject to change for inclement weather and things like that. But please utilize your class time wisely. Go ahead and start working on those All About Me posters and upload them to the discussion post once you're finished.